Hi there, welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'll be taking you through determinate limit forms. Determinate limit forms. So I know in the course of solving limit problems, you come by division by zero, like 0/0, something like infinity over zero. You get those stuffs. Yeah. So how do I handle such limit forms? So that limit forms we have to either to be called determinate, okay? Either it to be determinate or it will be indeterminate. Indeterminate meaning you can't predict how the solution will be, right? So we have a way to handle them. So let's look out for the determinate forms in this section. In our next session, we look out for the indeterminate forms. So don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel so that you get updated when I post or new videos. Okay, so let's see. So for the determinate forms, I have the first I'm going to write. So let's say one. I'm writing all of them. So I have one. We have L plus or minus infinity, right? It's always equal to plus or minus infinity. So what this means is if you add any number, any finite number to infinity, you end up getting that particular what infinity. Okay. So assuming that you are having 2 plus what infinity, obviously this 2 is a finite what number. So this 2 plus infinity is equal to what infinity, obviously, right? For example, you have 2 minus infinity. You can't subtract infinite number from 2. So this giving us what negative infinity. So these are what the first category of what determinate limit forms. Either you are adding or subtracting infinity from a finite number, you still get up your what positive or negative infinity back again. Now let's see another one, number 2, that is positive infinity plus positive infinity. Okay, so if you add positive infinity to positive infinity, you'll be getting positive infinity as an answer, right? Let's see, if you add negative infinity towards negative infinity, okay, you also get negative infinity as well. Okay, now let's see, if a number multiplies, a finite number multiplies positive or negative infinity, our solution is also positive or what negative infinity. Something like 2 times what infinity, right? It's obviously infinity. You can multiply infinity by 2 and expect to get something different. So number 5 is maybe multiplying. Number 5 is multiplying this. So if you have a negative number, okay, so let's say you have a negative number. So this represents positive number, okay. If you have a negative number multiplying positive or negative infinity, you get negative or positive infinity. So look at the change in signs. If you multiply a negative number by what, positive or negative, you'll be getting negative or positive. So for example, yes, you can also say for example. So for example, you can have something like negative 2 times what positive infinity. This will give us negative what infinity. Okay, the negative sign will affect this, obviously. Then if you have 3 times what negative infinity, you also get negative infinity. So these are some basic determinate forms. Then you also have any finite number over plus or minus infinity will give us 0. So whenever you divide any finite number by infinity, you should expect getting what 0, right? Then also, when you have 0 over what plus or minus infinity, it's always 0. Take note. Any number, 0 over any number is what 0, okay? And it also affects infinity. Infinity doesn't escape this condition. So whether it's infinity or not, so far as it's 0 over that number, you get what 0, except only one, which is 0 itself, right? So let's see. So these are the 7 determinate forms which I'd like you to put in mind, and we'll be using it as time goes on. Okay, so I have a problem here for us to apply this determinate forms we solved here. So the first one, we are finding limits as negative 2x plus 3 approaches positive infinity. So let's see how we solve that one. So 1, limits as x approaches positive infinity of what? Negative 2x plus 3. What do we do here? You are getting a finite value multiplying x. So if I want to put this inside, I'm getting what? Negative 2 multiplying or positive infinity, then plus what? 3. Is that not it? So once I get this, what am I getting? From the law, we know that whenever a negative number multiplies a positive, you get a negative answer. So we are getting negative infinity plus what? 3. And remember, negative infinity plus a finite number gives us what? The negative infinity back again. So this is equal to negative infinity as our answer. Let's see the second one. I have limit as what? S approaches negative infinity of 2 minus s squared plus s cubed. Okay. So this I'm going to get 2 minus open bracket negative infinity all squared, right, plus negative infinity all cubed, right? So this is an interesting problem. This is an interesting problem, right? So for this one, 2 minus, remember that infinity is infinite, so you cannot try to make it square on there, so it's still infinity. Okay, so this is 2 minus what? Infinity, right? Then this one too is what? You know, it's cubic, so you get minus infinity. So 2 minus minus infinity obviously will give us what? Negative infinity. Okay, negative infinity. Then the final one, which is the quotient, right? The final one, which is the quotient. So how do we do that? So for the quotient, you are having, for the quotient, you have 4 over negative 2s plus 3, right? So let me do it here. So number 3, I have limits as x approaches plus or minus infinity of 4 over negative 2x plus 3. So this will satisfy the last but one determinate form. So I have 4 over negative 2 multiplying plus or minus infinity plus 3. And this is equal to 4 over, here, if you have negative 2 times plus or minus, obviously we still have yours. This whole expression will be what? Plus or minus infinity, remember. But the thing is, this is positive or negative. But when the negative 2 multiplies it, we surely get what? Negative infinity at last, right? So negative infinity plus what? 3. Okay. So this all gives us what? 4 over negative infinity, because 3 cannot neutralize the negative. Okay, and obviously this will give us what? 0. Remember, any number over plus or minus infinity is what? 0. So that's all I have for you in this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.